Gay readers have been fed scraps for far too long, as far as I'm concerned. It actually came from Mark's sketches. He had drawn this very scary, scythe-wielding superhero bringer of death, and didn't really have a story behind the character. Just he's very visual. He just was coming up with a really striking figure, and I had seen this. We had talked about working together. We had met at a convention, and he knew I was writing, but I didn't have a steady artistic partner. So when we got together, we were first talking about working on one of the projects that I'd already started, but then I really wanted to do something where we both had complete ownership of it, and it was something that was 50-50, split down the middle. So he came to me with these sketches of this character that he'd been kind of noodling around with, and I started thinking, well, what kind of backstory he's going to have, and immediately just kind of jumped into this. He seemed like very much harsh, very brutal type character. Not a lot of superheroes run around with scythes chopping people up. So immediately it brought to mind a very ancient, very primal, very mythological kind of way of looking at truth, justice, and the whatever country way. So I went back to Greek mythology, which is a great place for that kind of really harsh, really brutal, really black and white kind of look at good and evil. And so he became a champion, basically, of former Greek king. And from there, it just blossomed and actually sort of became kind of a story about feuding and about revenge and about marital strife, almost, because one of the main forces in the book is the Greek king's ex-wife, who is pissed off, who has the right to pass judgment on people, who, if they're gonna get power and get the ability to change things in their life, how far do you go before it becomes just a power trip? And it's not about doing the right thing or righting a wrong. It's about feeling good. Like feeling good because someone's making you feel bad, and so now you're going to hurt them back. I mean, that kind of thing is so common in comic books these days. There's so many of these kind of fascist, authoritarian heroes running around. You know that they're right because their name is on the front cover. That's about it, And it's also about sexual awakening and sexual confidence, and how people change to match their insides when they start to really figure out who they are, and how that can be really painful and difficult. So there have been some books that are really unafraid to be sexual and to be provocative and erotic without going into porn territory. Not that porn territory is bad, mind you, but no, only a few. And I think that sex is such an important thing. It's such a big deal in people's lives, whether they have it in their lives or they don't. It's important in their lives. I wanted to do a book that was really, really, really sexual. So, so I wrote it as a full porn script. I wrote it as a full-on spurting penises everywhere kind of thing. But it was the artist. It was Mark who actually said he wanted the story to be read by more people. He wanted more people to see it because he really liked what I had come up with to flesh out the story of these characters he was coming up with. And he said, well, let's just make it, instead of a Spice Channel original series, let's make it a Showtime original series, and see if we can't get more people to read it. So it's definitely a lot more explicit than you would normally see in comics. So we got together maybe about 1.5 years ago and started working on it and plotting it out. We had no idea where it was gonna go, or if someone was gonna publish it, or if it was just gonna be something that we photocopied and took to shows with us. Class Comics is great. Patrick Fillion's art is just delicious, curvaceous, clean, tight, and incredibly sexy. But when I sent him a copy of this book, it was really just to get his feedback. And I knew that Class Comics is pretty much exclusively porn comics. So he wrote back and he said, we'd like to publish this. And then he wrote back another day later and said, just in case it wasn't really clear, we are going to publish this. So I was blown away. He's really letting the book take the company in a little bit of a new direction. It's not their usual thing, and I'm really grateful for the chance to do it. Oh, well, the book is not available yet in stores, so I'm sorry you can't go buy it. But you can go to your local comics retailer and say, there's this book that's available for you to order now, for me, to arrive in September. And I'd really like it if you ordered it. I would do anything for you if you would order a copy of the Mark of Aeacus, Book 1, from Class Comics, for me, from the Diamond Previews catalog, from the July edition. I think a lot of it is going to be me trying to be sexy and then laughing.